So now we're doing something when a form is submitted. By the way, we're going to take our break in about 10 minutes. We're doing something when the form is submitted, but we're not actually using the input that we typed, right? So let's see about doing that. I'm going to throw a debugger in here again so that we can play around with this. Okay, submitted. Now my console is right inside my change heading function. I know I have EV, right? That's my event. The event has a number of properties on it. One that is interesting to me is target. ev.target is the actual form. Look, when I hover over it, it actually highlights the form. ev.target. Anybody know what the event target is? Yeah.
Isn't it basically where the event's happening, basically like the button that would be clicked or...
Right. It is the thing that the event happened to. So the event has to happen to something, right? What got clicked? A button. What got submitted? A form. So the target is the element on which the event fired to make all this happen. So in a form submission, it's the form itself. So that's useful. If I need to do something with the form inside this, I don't need to actually grab it from the page. Even though I've already grabbed it from the page, I don't really want to reuse that, because that couples this function to that form in a way that doesn't seem necessary. What form do I want to deal with inside here? Well, whichever one was submitted, right? So getting that from the event object just seems like a more robust way than, say, using query selector. So I can always say event.target to get the form. Let's go ahead and save that to a variable real quick. I'll say let f equals event target. And f, that doesn't make any sense. The event target was this a moment ago. I just defined f. What are you talking about? Okay. It lost its mind there for a second. All right. So here we go. Here's the form. We know that elements have some properties and methods. They have things like text content. We talked briefly about inner HTML yesterday. All kinds of properties. A form has one called elements. F.elements gives me this array-like thing. You'll find this a lot in JavaScript. There are these things that look and behave a lot like arrays, but are called something else, like HTML form controls collection. It has two things in it, the input and the button. If I had other things inside the forms, like paragraphs and whatnot, those would not appear in form.elements. It's actually the things that are form controls. So I have the input and the button. So it looks like I could get to the input that way. F square bracket 0. I get my input. But notice this. It also has a property called spell name. Since in my HTML, I actually gave that input a name, I can get to it that way. F.spellname or F.elements.spellname. There it is. What about F.spellname? Totally works too. So if you gave your form control a name, you can get to it from the form by that name, just using the dot. And what if you want what you typed in there? That gives me the actual input itself. And if I set, the H1's text content to that, that's probably not what I want. How do I get what I typed in there? Several of you did this. Don't take it personally. You just answer a lot. Ditto. I want to see if give somebody else a chance. But don't feel like you can't raise your hands. I'm just going to try to give somebody else a chance. Who did this? Who knows how to get what you typed in there? Yeah.
I
So f.spellname.value. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. That's what you've typed into the form. So it seems, place a debugger here. I'll say const f equals ev.target to get the form. And let's say const spellname equals f dot spellname. F dot spellname is the actual input, right? Dot value is what we actually typed in there. If you wanted to make the point that this variable name is just coincidentally named the same thing as this, you could just call this spell or something if you want. Whatever. Doesn't matter. It's just a variable name, right? Const spellname equals f.spellname.value. So I want to try to change the h1's text content to spellname. Let's unpause that. Let's refresh the page. Let's try that again. Spellbook. XTBC rules. That says rules. Now it says rules. Totally works. There we go. That did the thing. Super mega bonus credit, hyper fighting. All right. But this stuff isn't on Git yet, right? It is just in our working directory. Confirm that, git status. I've made changes to index.js. If we wanted to make sure we knew which changes were since the last one, we would type git diff, not git if. By the way, Git has the best error messages. If you mistype something, it very often tells you what you meant to type. Git diff, there we go. That's all I changed. I added these two lines, and I changed yield spellbook to spellname. But this is all in our working directory, not in our repository. We need to add it to the repository. Git add dot. Now it's here, but we want it to be here. We want to actually create a checkpoint we could get back to. So git commit -m. This commit will update the heading with text from the form input. Now, we've made a checkpoint for it. It's actually in our repository, but only on our machine. So we want to push it to our remote. Git push. Now if I refresh this on GitHub, I have 6 commits. Most recent one, update the heading with text from the form input. It worked. We did the thing. Questions? Cool. All right. Yeah.
I said not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay. All right. Let's take a 10-minute break. See you in 10.